Dear friends, welcome to this week's edition of the Inspired Parsha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read through Parshas Yisro. And like every Parsha in the Torah, there's so many beautiful, rich Torah ideas, especially in the Hasidic world. And in this week's Parsha is really one of the most pivotal moments in the entire Torah, the divine revelation at Mount Sinai. The Jewish people stood and they literally heard God's voice, whatever that means, and they felt this intense connection to the master of the world, and they understood everything. The divine revelation was so real and so intense that the pasuk, the verse even says, "V'kol ha'am," the entire people, roam es hakolos, they saw the voices. What does it mean? They saw the voice. Seeing is much more real than just hearing. Seeing is just, there's an expression, seeing is believing, or a picture is better than 1,000 words, because seeing is just so real. They're able to hear God's voice and see to the deepest depths of their soul what was the purpose of the Torah, what the Torah means, how it all applies to their lives. The divine revelation at Mount Sinai was unparalleled in world history. But what happened after that? Rav Soloveitchik says something incredible. He says that ever since Mount Sinai, how do we look at Torah today? How do we look at halacha, Torah today? It's basically a series of laws that are constantly being discussed and challenged, and there's back and forths in the Talmud with proofs and refutations and different disputes and how we arrive at the laws. It's so just out of focus and unclear, and all seems to be just man-made discussions, and it seems so different than the divine revelation at Mount Sinai, which was God himself revealing himself to the Jewish people. The vision, everything was so clear. So Rav Soloveitchik says something unbelievable. He says that God did it this way on purpose. Why? Because he wanted, after the divine revelation, he withdrew so that we could now have our own input. We can have our own Mount Sinai by having our own discussions. Man now takes the bull by the horns. We now are in the driver's seat. We can now control what was given to us by having these discussions. Rav Soloveitchik puts it beautifully. He says that the Mount Sinai was the authority of God, but halacha is the responsibility of man. We now have it. God purposely withdrew to make us now have an active part in our own story. There's such a beautiful quote from Rav Soloveitchik that I want to read to everyone over here, and I think it just sums it up. He says over here, "The greatness of Judaism is not that God spoke once, but that man continues to answer." What a beautiful quote. We are continuously part of our own story. Every time when we have our halachic discussions, Talmudic debates, back and forth, discussing, trying to understand, trying to arrive at a truth, we're taking part in our own Mount Sinai. We're continuing it, but this time it's our own input. God wanted it to be this way. He wanted to step back to let us take our own responsibility and be able to evolve halacha and Torah into the way it is today. I want to give everyone a bracha, a blessing. I always like to end with a blessing. Remember these two roles, these two aspects of Judaism. Remember, of course, always the divine revelation of Mount Sinai when everything was so clear, when God came to us directly, but also remember and be a part of the constant evolving Torah and halacha that exists till this very day. Through this, we're really fulfilling this dual role that Judaism, that God, that Torah has for us. I want to wish everyone here a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you so much for listening.